Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a delightful Cadwell Park. It's the season opener for the Milltek Civic Cup, and we're about to get run over by one, which is always a great way to start the day, isn't it? My name is Jack Oliphant. I'll be your host for the day, along with Anthony Jordan. DJ, how are we?
Oh, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, Jack, fantastic day, fantastic to be here. The sun's glorious, Cadwell Park, beautiful weather. Can't wait for it, and like very nearly. Yeah, I thought my ankles were gone then for the beginning of this.
I was going to say, Edmondson really sort of fancied himself to do the bit late breaking early on, isn't he? We've got loads of fantastic drivers up for you today, and brilliant 3 races on the pack as well. So with the time attack, it's just a great buzzing atmosphere right now.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, time attack's out there, they're whizzing away at the moment, but the Civics, this is where all the action's going to be. A fantastic grid of cars. We've got 2 classes obviously this year. We've got the production class and we've got the cup class as well. All very quick drivers in all of them. We've got young drivers, we've got older drivers, we've got champions, we've got previous champions. It is going to be a fantastic day of racing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And we've even got some debutants and some drivers who are doing their first full season. And in fact, we can start to see a few of the cars right now. So what might be best, Anthony, is if I sort of jump away and talk to some drivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna just disappear. Yeah, I'm gonna go in the commentary box. I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a bit nicer in there, I have to say. Right, let's have a little chat to some drivers. As you can see, we've got Camp on the front row of the grid. Now that's Alistair Camp. He is currently reigning champion from last year. However, he's not on pole position because that honour goes to Matt Luff. Now, if you tune into the socials earlier on in the Civic Cup, you may have seen that we've had a chat to Matt Luff. It might not have been released yet. I'm not entirely sure, but we have interviewed him before qualifying. I might even be so rude as to interview him before the race if Matt is up for it. Yeah, he's up for it. Of course he is. Why are they not? Matt, pole position, race 1 and race 3, I realise we've probably already had these questions before, but give us a little bit of your thought process since it's all becoming a little bit more real now on pole.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said before, this track is so tight, it's just a case of not messing up the start and trying to get my head down. I don't want to sort of, miss a gear off the start and then drop back 2 places. I'm spending the rest of the race trying to get back up to where I started. So yeah, if I get a clean start, breakaway, that's ideal. And then same in the 3rd race, really.
How have your race starts been? Because obviously you competed last year, you came 2nd in the championship. What sort of learning process did you go through with that, and do you think you can take that forward into this season?
I mean, I've been doing race starts for a few years now, so I kind of, there is a knack to it, and I'm starting to get the hang of it. I wouldn't say I'm there 100%. I wouldn't say it's a weak point, but it's something that I definitely think I should work on. But yeah, it's just a case of getting it right. Then again, you've got so many guys on the grid. It's eventually you're going to make a mistake. Like it's going to happen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go have a chat to some of the drivers that might want to upset you from taking a lights to flag victory. And I think one of the drivers I saw might be Alistair Camp. It's a bit embarrassing. Alistair, do you want to have a very quick chat before we get going? Or you can say no if you don't want to. Okay, reigning champion. Let's face it, a little bit of a target on your back. Don't want to put too much pressure on. But 2nd place, you're hoping to swirp Matt Luff here?
Yeah, we'll get our best shot. Like I say, we thought we'd done well yesterday, and then seeing the lads on the pit wall waving me on as if say, come on, you got to go quicker, you're not on pole. And I was like, I can't go any quicker than this. And then it came in, I seen the time, absolute phenomenal lap off him, and I don't think anybody will touch that time. Absolute perfect lap. So yeah, see what we can do now. Hopefully it doesn't disappear in the distance and keep it interesting, but who knows.
A championship is a long time though, isn't it? Plenty of races to come. What's sort of your ethos going into this first race? Because there's the old saying, isn't it, you can't win a championship on lap 1.
No, definitely not. It's all about finishing at the end of the day. You get a drop round for a DNF for your own fault, you're only going to kick yourself all season, so you're better off picking up points because, as you all know, points make prizes. And like I say, try and do the work early on in this championship, get your victories where you can, and then middle of the season you can almost not sit back too much because you never take your foot off the pedal, but you can just sit back that little bit and not have to be so like, I need the win. You can just sit back and pick your points up easier then.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Alistair. We'll let you get psyched up and ready to go. Now, that's the front row of the grid so far, but a area of the grid that I want to have a look at is our other category, which is the production class. So I'm actually looking for our pole sitter of the production category, which is Dave Marshall. We've still got drivers lining up, and you can see actually jumping out their cars. It's a small paddock, a small assembly area, I should say, here at Cadwell, so not loads of space. I'm just going to manoeuvre myself around Mr. Hughes here and go and try and have a chat to Dave Marshall, who currently is in the car, one of the few drivers that is pretty much getting ready. But I'm going to be rude. I know him anyway. So Dave Marshall, I'm going to have a very, very quick chat with you, Dave, if that's okay. How are we doing today?
Yeah, good as always. Quite surprised to be here, if I'm honest. very quick turnaround on the car, and going into this round with absolutely no knowledge of how to set it up, and we managed to wrestle it onto the front row. So fair chuff with that, if I'm honest.
I feel like you're doing yourself a little bit of a disservice there. You did come in the Civic Cup last year and dominate the one round you did. I know this is your first full season and you haven't done that many in real life, but on the sim you're pretty wicked. You do know the theory of cars pretty well.
Yeah, I know the theory. Putting it into practice is another thing. But yeah, it's all a learning curve. We somehow managed to fluke across a all-right setup at the start of practice. First adjustments we ever did, and then there was time left in me, so I said get the most out of that first, and then we'll start chipping it up and see what it does, because at the moment we've got no data for the car at all. So yeah, we'll wait and see, but a big thank you to everyone who's helped us get here, and the lads at the back. Make sure you get them on camera. They're doing a mint job for getting the car ready, because without them I wouldn't be here, like so.
Well, fantastic. We'll catch up a little bit later because we do need to have a chat with you later on, but we'll do that another time because I feel like he wants to get going. And I feel like we need to get going as well because the first race is about to begin. Cars are lined up. They all look fantastic. So we're going to cut to a quick advert break and then we're going to jump over to the commentary booth and get some on-track action.
And you're back.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
And welcome back. We're now into the commentary booth, and I'm back alongside Anthony Jordan now.
Hello.
Anthony. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, of course, we're here at Cadwell. Lovely shots on screen right now, aren't there? And just a confirmation of the date and the round and everything like that, season opener. It is looking spectacular. I mean, those pictures do it justice today.
They don't do it justice, do they? Yes, we're your commentators, like you say. Anthony Jordan, myself, Jack Oliphant in the commentary box here. Like you say, beautiful weather that we've got here. Let's have a quick look at the circuit map itself, because Cadwell Park, an absolutely fantastic venue, 2.2 miles in length, 18 corners, 105 feet of elevation, and established in 1934. It's an old track, it's a windy track, and it's a very tall and steep track, isn't it, Jack?
It's a very popular track, though. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, this is our first time here at Cadwell for me and you, Anthony. But I have to say, the bikes have been coming here for years. It's just been a crowd favourite, and I can absolutely see why. I mean, across from our commentary box, the banking with fans starting to fill up is absolutely sensational as well. So, yeah, really do recommend anybody coming down to have a watch in future times. But of course, you're going to miss out on Civics because you're not here already.
You're going to miss out on Civics, and you're going to miss out on a look at the weather here as well, because the weather is absolutely fantastic. Like you say, there's a little bit of cloud cover out there, a little bit of overcast, but the temperature is pretty nice. No chance of rain today, so if you are here at the Cadwell circuit, you're in for a treat of racing, and I'd suspect get your sunscreen out as well, because there is breaks in the cloud, and it is very, very sunny out there. But yeah, a fantastic day that we've got here, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it, Jack.
Indeed, yeah, just to give everybody a bit of an overview of the Civic Cup as a whole, really. Obviously, we've mentioned a couple of times that this is the season opener. There are 7 weekends in total. Apparently 5 of them include 2 races. However, we're lucky here today at Cadwell because this is one of the 2 weekends that include 3 races for you. So if you are watching this, or you're just casually passing by on social media, or you've just sort of seen it appear and you want to get a little bit more information or know a little bit more about it, then please do follow and subscribe and do everything you need to do, because we have 3 races. This is, of course, the first one coming up, and we have some vehicles moving down onto the circuit. Bit of an odd layout here at Cadwell, isn't it? Because the assembly area, then they have to drive halfway around the circuit to get to the pit lane and everything else. So it's not going to exactly be rapid, but it's certainly going to be entertaining, that's for sure. So yeah, a little bit of history, as I said, not history, sorry, just a little bit of a breakdown of the Civic Cup. They did qualifying and they did practice yesterday, so we'll be able to bring you all the qualification order. But we've already seen that. We've had a chat to a couple of our drivers. Matt Luff on pole position. We had a chat to him earlier on, Anthony, as well, didn't he? He looks very relaxed. He looks very confident in everything that he's doing right now.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I mean, going into Cadwell Park, I wouldn't be confident going in towards Cadwell Park, you know, because this track, well, one, it terrifies me. It's more of a bike circuit. Bikes race here, you know, bikes have been racing here for donkey years, but so have cars. Cars have raced here for years as well, but it's such a narrow circuit, probably one of the narrowest circuits in the UK, I would suspect.
Yeah. I don't know the statistics.
I don't know the actual classification. I'm sure there'll be someone in the live track going, no, there's something rubbish. This track here is the narrowest track. But from my knowledge, yes, it's still a very thin circuit. And like you say, yeah, layout very peculiar as well, because the track will extend massively. It goes all the way out to the grassy area, goes all the way up to the top. It's a very long circuit, and it tucks away into the trees as you go into, I think, Hall Bend and everything. The S's that go to very undulating, very sweet. The drift cars were out there earlier, and I have to say, awesome. My jaw dropped at watching those cars go around the track. But yeah, like we say, we're going to see some fun field action, close racing in these Civics. Of course, the 2 classes we've got here, the Cup and the production classes, of course, they're going to be mixed into the grid. A little bit of a difference between the 2 of the classes on that one in terms of power, a little less horsepower, isn't it?
In the production category, there's a little less horsepower, and I think there's a slightly less restrictions as well in terms of everything has to be exactly the same in the Cup category. But we'll be able to, if you want more information on that, then we're going to have a chat to some of our organisers and drivers from both series on the social media on the Civic Cup page. So we'll be going around doing some filming after this to have a chat with all those drivers. We'll get a bit more of a breakdown for those technically minded out there and those who are more sort of, well, technically aware than, well, I am, for instance.
Both of us.
Yeah. Plenty of drivers here today, though. It's a very, very packed grid. 16 rows of cars, effectively, that we've got. Obviously, 6 of them are production. 22 of them are the Cup category, and it's fantastic to see a championship like this so popular.
Yes, yeah, it really is. It's great to see it grow and evolve in the way that it is, and you know, seeing all these, you say we've got new drivers coming in, we've got debut drivers, we've got all sorts coming in, but yeah, like you say, with the grids that are coming up in just a moment's time, Matt Love, he's going to be starting on pole position, 20 years of age, he's a student, he's won karting championships and all sorts, and he's put it on pole position on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll give you a bit of a rundown on the starting grid. Matt Luff is on pole. He might not be appearing on the top, but he is. Alistair Camp is in 2nd place with Dan Thackeray on 3rd. 4th is Morgan Bailey, with 5th being George Alp Williams, Max Lewis, Alfie Threffel, William Redford, Harvey Catton and Ryan Bensley round out your top 10. 11th is Bradley Lane, 12th is Max Edmondson, 13th Jordan Brennan with 14th Daniel McDonald, 15th William DeCloudo and 16th Paul McHugh. 17th is Natalie Brooks with 18th being Neil Gardner, 19th Owen Hillman, 20th Jeff Alden, 21st Matthew Cripps with 22nd being Harry Threlfall. And in the production class on pole position will be Dave Marshall, 2nd place Louis Hansel, 3rd place Alfie Jenkins, 4th place Simon Welch, 5th place Reese Lewis and 6th place Mark Hughes. And the cars are starting to go out onto the circuit.
They are indeed, yeah, they're out on their formation lap. They leave the assembly area that's just behind our commentary box, situated at the top of the mountain section. Now, secretly, I really wish there were bikes going out today, because the view that we've got of the mountain is absolutely fantastic. But nevertheless, we've got cars, I'm sure they'll get all 4 wheels off the track. Maybe. Will they? No.
I mean, we sort of hope that they don't get all 4 wheels.
No. It will have gone wrong if that's happened.
They won't be designing to do that, shall we say.
No.
Although narrow, we have noticed, obviously, how narrow it is. There are some overtaking opportunities, and Matt Love certainly sort of highlighted a few of them that he's going to be hoping to defend into, specifically up the park bend at the top end of the hill. Plenty of draft opportunities. I would say easily defended is probably a bit of an exaggeration, but there's opportunities. And obviously into Coppice, the first corner, fantastic opportunity to sort of off the line to get your nose ahead. But after that, it becomes very, very difficult, very narrow, very windy. But that will probably make the drivers have a little bit of ambition, probably try a little bit harder, which might be entertaining.
Yes, definitely so. But like you say, lining up on the grid, 2x2 start for this one. I'm not sure if they're going to get a formation lap as well, just to warm everything up, because they've only gone from the assembly area around kind of like the half side of the circuit.
Yeah, they've only done a half a lap. I assume they would do a full green flag.
I mean, one would think, but
yes.
You know, these are sort of the information that the commentators would know. But because you know we
haven't been here,
we are a crack commentary team, ladies and gentlemen. We are professionals in every way, shape, or form. I do promise. But yeah, are they going to get a green flag formation lap? We're not too sure, but we'll find out in just a moment's time, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and other things that have been going out on the track today, of course, the track attacks and the drifts that we've already mentioned, and that is a little bit of a different format, obviously, to the Civic Cup, isn't it? So it's it's a learning curve for us here at the first round. If you're wondering where Andy McEwen is, he's a usual Civic Cup commentator. He'll be back for the rest of the season, but obviously we're your hosts for today at least. I think Anthony might be back. We'll never know. It's part of the Alpha Live team, I'm sure. You always are hanging about the Alpha Live sort of production, aren't you? Considering you're part of it, that helps.
I'm like a rash in a karting paddock. Yeah, car paddock. I always end up somewhere in the UK. Now, who is that who's got their driver's door open?
Is that Dave Marshall?
That is indeed the 99 of Dave Marshall, the man who's starting on pole position for the production class. His door closes and he gets himself lined up on the grid. So I think having a bit of a chin wag, just with one of the marshals there, just going, I'm not sure where I'm starting, because he was surprised that he was starting on pole position in his class as well.
Yeah, he was, and I know he's inexperienced in the real life racing world, but stopping and having a chat to a marshal is probably not advised, and I doubt he will have seen that on many YouTube tutorials out there. But yes, he was slightly surprised, but to be honest, I'm not. I know exactly how quick he is, and as I mentioned to him, I didn't want to try and scare him, but he has been in the Civic Cup once before. He did a round last year, and he got pole position, fastest laps, and 3 race wins. So it's not exactly overly surprising that we see him right at the front end of the production class. But like he said, he doesn't have that many weekends under his belt. I think he's a little bit nervous.
He could very well be. While one of the boards goes up at the front, I don't believe we have got a green flag lap. I could be just going straight into the race start. We'll find out in just a moment's time, though.
Yeah, 30-second board held out as well. They're always very quick when they start holding the boards out. The green flag is in his hand, which generally means we are going to go for a green flag lap, and indeed we are. So, yeah, there is a warm-up opportunity for these drivers to maybe find or get rid of any little gremlins that are in their car as well, and just to psych themselves up.
Yeah, psych up, warm everything up, get themselves ready. Sighting lap of the track as well, of course, because obviously there's been sessions out there before. They don't know there could be some patches out there, so I may have dumped some unwanted fluids onto the circuit.
Always an awful thing.
Yeah, never a nice thing that happens. So, yeah, nice sighting lap for these drivers. Of course, a 15-minute race for race 1. I think we're slightly behind on the day's proceedings. I think this race was due to start at around 10:35, so we are a little bit behind on the day schedule. So apologies for that if you were tuning in and thinking it was supposed to start at this time. Obviously, racing is a fluid situation, and many things can happen that can prevent races from going out on time. But the team here at the Cadwell Park circuit have done a fantastic job, and we are going to be underway racing for race 2 of the weekend. Race 1 was yesterday. How did that go? Was it?
Race 1 is right now, Andy.
Race 1 is right now? It says race 2 on the top of the screen.
Yes,
That's probably why I was getting confused. Yes, sorry, ladies and gents, it is race 1 of the weekend, so we don't know what happened yesterday, because nothing happened yesterday.
Qualifying happened, yes, exactly. And I suppose that it's a little bit more complicated qualifying than one might think as well, because maybe traditionally in normal racing you'd have qualifying, and that would dictate race 1 order, and whatever happened in race 1 would dictate race 2, and blah, 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 and so on. However, they have had qualifying, their first fastest lap, their most fast lap, I should say, probably. That's the wrong way of saying it, but you get what I mean. That dictated the grid for this first race. Their second fastest lap in qualifying yesterday dictates the race order for race 3.
Yes.
Race
2 is the reverse. It's a reverse grid of their finishing order from race 1.
Yeah, they like to throw a curveball in there.
Yeah,
don't
just
they?
confuse everyone everywhere.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That
We didn't actually, embarrassingly, we didn't know that until Matt Love told us about it. Because we were trying to figure it out. We thought TSL had a little bit of a glitch, and we thought, anyway, it doesn't really matter now, does it?
Professional commentary team here, ladies and gentlemen, at their finest.
Yeah, exactly. But hopefully everybody's enjoying the sort of laid-back atmosphere we're trying to provide here until the racing gets going. Now, this green flag light, it not only gives them a sighter of the circuit as well, it gives us a sighter of some of the fantastic camera angles that Alpha Live are providing us with. And we really are, we've talked about it a lot, but now it's showcasing just how narrow this circuit is and just how many brilliant fans are here today.
Yes, yeah, lots of people here. I'm glad I arrived at 6:30 this morning after I left my house.
Are you
glad? No, not at all. I left my house in Silverstone at 3:45 in the morning, and it was a straight shot drive all the way to Cadwell Park here this morning. And yeah, I arrived a little bit early. I've been going a tad, 1 or 2 north of proper on the speed limit, but we won't announce that.
72 miles an hour.
Exactly, it's absolutely fine, isn't it? Yeah, but got here a little bit early, 6:30, went to go sign in, and they said, "Oh, you're a bit early. Everyone knows I was at 7." So,
yeah, I wanted breakfast as well around that, and they were like, "Oh, it doesn't open until 7:30." I was like, "Well, that's helpful." Anyway, obviously, Alistair Camp is a driver to look out for now. He is just about to line up. Obviously, Matt Luff on pole position, Alistair Camp in the number 1 car. Obviously, reigning champion. We had a chat to him earlier on today. The production class, if you're wondering why we haven't mentioned the reigning champion for that one or any sort of drama for that, most of them have moved on. Mervyn Beckett has moved on. I'm not entirely sure where because he's not on the grid anymore. However, Alfie and Harry Threlfall both came 2nd and 3rd in that championship. They've now moved up to the Cup category, so there is somewhat of a power vacuum. Apologies if you heard some shouting in the background. That's some of the marshals enjoying themselves.
Marshals enjoying that, rightly so as well.
Yes.
They do a fantastic job.
Exactly. So yes, the production class is wide open, shall we say, but we're very interested in the very close times that the front 4 of the Cup category are about to give us. And apparently there's a few drivers as well that didn't quite have the engine underneath them. Will Redford, he had to change the engine actually after qualifying. After practice. So expect him to go a little bit quicker than he did in qualifying. So all the cars lining up on the grid. It's about that time we start standing up, DJ. Well, you're always stood up.
I'm always stood up.
You're always ready to go, aren't you, just in case anything happens. But the 1-minute board is being held up. It's imminent. It's imminent, DJ, isn't it? I'm looking forward to this one. The season opener here at Cadwell Park for the Milltek Civic Cup. The red lights are on, and we're about to get racing, and they're out. And I think it's a good start by Matt Love. And I tell you who isn't having a good start, and it's that 2nd-place man of Alistair Camp. He's getting swamped already as they head down towards Coppice, the first corner. He's already down to 4th. He might actually be down to 6th or 7th by the time he gets to the first corner. He's getting lunged left, right, and centre. But I think the top 3 at the moment are Luff, Thackeray, and Morgan Bailey. And there's drivers off on the road there. That's number 54. That's Harvey Caton.
Yeah, so drama at the first corner as well. To be expected, of course. Turn 1 here is very, very tricky. They go uphill. Again, it's kind of a blind entry as they crest the hill. You're unsure whether or not anyone has spun at the top of the hill there. The number 5 just streaking past the screen there, George Williams. Now, he had a bad start to his race. It looked like he stalled off the line. He dropped way through the field. So not a good start for the number 5, but the rest of the field slossing through as the 2.71 of Max Lewis getting a little bit sideways as they go to the top of the hill at Chris Curve. They come down now through turns 6 and 7 in towards Gooseneck, side by side there for, I believe, 2nd place as they come down. They'll be into Mansfield, turn 8. Very tricky braking zone into Mansfield because it's so heavy. It's downhill, and already Dusty's being kicked up and locking up, coming in left, right, and centre.
Yeah, no, it's Matt Love in the lead of that race, but who's that off on the outside of the circuit coming down through Mansfield? I think it looks like the car's actually going to stop. Or was it going to try and rejoin? It's a little bit tricky. A narrow circuit requires accurate rejoining, and I think he's just about got away with it. We had to cut away, obviously. As they come across the line, we'll be able to tell you and bring you all up to date with who is where and what's going on. But at the moment, we have to sort of wait on.
So it's Dan Thackeray in the 29 who's leading the way by a huge advantage. The man who started on 3rd place in the 2nd row of the grid. He had an awful year last year, and he was waiting, and he is wanting his first win in this Honda Civic Cup class. So is that potentially going to come this time around as he crosses the line? He will break the timing beam as someone there diving wide, and oh dear me, digging that front splitter into the grass, rejoins onto the circuit. It's the 54 of Harvey Catton, the man who started 9th place on the grid, and he is making moves, but he's made a move onto the grass, and he kind of looked like he ate grass quite a lot there.
Yeah, exactly. He's already been off at least once this lap as well. So opening lap not going well for Catton there, unfortunately. Thackeray in the race lead, as you said. Threlfall is actually in 2nd place. A fantastic start as Catton almost getting on the outside of Alistair Camp and going off the circuit again. Camp has had an absolutely abysmal start, and he's still going backwards. I can only assume there's something wrong with that car, DJ, because it's just nothing seems to be going right for him at the moment. He's slipping outside the top 10. He's probably down to 13th now.
Yeah, that can't car has no WAF. Sorry, I said kart there. I'm so used to a karting paddock. There you go. I've got supercars later on today. There you go. That's why I'm brushing up for that one. 12.5 minutes to go, though, and like you say, clear breakaway for Thackeray. He's pulled away in that Honda Civic EP3. The gap now 3.5 seconds, and the fastest lap of the race. Of course, that won't be a respective time. They'll go a little bit faster on the next lap, you know, but a 1:46.039 currently for your race leader, who is breaking away comfortably, I would say.
And look at that massive amount of speed that he has compared to the rest of the field. And who's that? That's the number 26 of Morgan Bailey. Having to change a tyre, almost having a pit stop there on the outside of the track. That's a bit of a shame. As they're going to come across through in front of our commentary box, I can see a big move potentially being thrown by the 51. We'll have to wait and see. That was McDonald. Just a very aggressive manoeuvres, and as we've mentioned quite a few times, it's very hard to make any kind of overtaking opportunity here happen, especially in cars. So you do have to be very aggressive. You have to be very decisive as soon as you sort of see an opportunity, and trying to put the driver off the head is probably more important than where you're braking and how you're apexing.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, all eyes will be on the battle for second place, but further action back here, because that was Alistair Camp, the number 1 car, who is trying to get positions made, but it's just tumbling down the order. Like you say, you think there's something wrong with the car potentially from earlier on, because like you say, it didn't really get off the line well, did it? And it really is. Looks like it is struggling in this one, which is a huge shame for the last year's previous champion.
Yep, and there's movement up the front end of the field here. That's Matt Luff, I think, being conceded down into 3rd place. That's yeah, this is the battle for second. Threlfall actually trying to hold on to that 2nd place. Matt Luff on the aggressive, on the attack here, and gets into 2nd for the time being. Can he hold on to it as he gets a little bit of dust kicked up on the apex of the left-hander there? And this is actually almost a 5-way battle for 2nd place. Thackeray is driven away with it somewhat. He's not even in the scene as soon as we cut to that camera angle. This one's going to be exciting. We know that Luff has got a massive amount of pace. Who's that going off in the background there? That was very, very close to being a massive crash. Luckily, it hasn't been. But yeah, this is going to be interesting now. How can Luff get into this race? 10 minutes ago. Can he catch up? His pole position time was absolutely mega. He was 0.6 of a second quicker than reigning champion Alistair Camp, and he was about 0.8 of a second quicker than our current leader Thackeray. This is a big 10 minutes.
Yes, it is indeed. So, like you say, we're watching the battle from 2nd place backwards at the moment. Therefore, Luff, Bensley, Lewis and Redford, they're all having a great little scrap. They come across the line now. Less than 10 minutes to go then of this race. As you can see, the team's now on the pit wall. They're not allowed to be on the pit wall when the race is starting. It's one of those rules that you're not allowed to be on there, but they're back on there now supporting their team, getting the notes out there. Looks like Luff's managed to break away, though, from the 66 of Therafall. You see dropping back there very wide there for the 54 of Catton. He's really pushing that Civic to the ragged edge around this track, isn't he?
Yeah, I think there's maybe a touch of overdriving that's in there. I think Catton needs to just calm it down, and it doesn't help once you get a little bit of dirt on your tyres and then you start going off and a couple of corners after that. But as far as we can tell, he hasn't been off the circuit again.
Oh, huge
lock
lock
up. That's a 66.
It's Therafall and into the barrier, and my goodness me, Therafall a hard hit into the wall, and that car will go no further. There we go. But that's a huge shame for Therafall, and that will, well, that's going to need a lot of repair, won't it?
Oh, goodness me, and even in the background, they're still getting loose on the outside. It just goes to show how unforgiving this track is, really, and Threlfall really felt it there, unfortunately, and I wouldn't be surprised if we bring out a safety car for that one, because the car was sort of well, on top of the barrier, wasn't it? And if one car can go off in that area, then another car can obviously follow it at some point. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that, see if the safety car comes back out. But at the moment, we're still racing. That's quietened down the race for second. The safety car is out. CSL Timing is now giving us the safety car. There is the BMW M Sport about to come out and catch the leader. I'll tell you, one driver who won't be very happy about that is our leader Thackeray, because he was absolutely fine. I mean, I'm sure Threlfall, and we hope that he's okay, won't be very happy with it either. But yeah, Thackeray will be livid with that one. Yeah,
I suspect he will be indeed, because all that work he's done to open up that 5.1 second advantage that he gained has now dissipated. It's gone. The safety car will close the pack up, and that will be an absolute nightmare for him. With just under 8 minutes to go then, plenty of time in this race, and there's some more heavy damage there. That's on the number 76. That is Simon Welch, who's in the production class. The man who started in 30th on the grid, or should I say 4th in class.
4th in class is the nicer way of saying it.
That's the nicer way of saying it.
Yeah, from his perspective anyway, isn't it? So obviously the production class being a separate class, they get put to the back, even though the top 3 actually qualified time-wise, thoroughly in the mid-pack of the Cup category, which, and then they just get automatically put to the back, which, I mean, does make it quite entertaining from our perspective. If you obviously are enjoying the action in the Civic Cup, this is a good opportunity to remind to subscribe and like and follow and do all the things that you would want to do to catch more of this epic race series, and more, in fact. I mean, if you're subscribing to Alpha Live, if you're watching it there, I mean, you're pretty much busy every weekend, but we'll just take a sidetrack from that. The ambulance coming out now, that could be a number of reasons, obviously. It's not necessarily a reason to sort of worry or panic. A lot of it is precautionary.
Precautionary, yeah.
And we will bring you updates as and when we personally get them. But at the moment, all we can do is see what's on our screens right now. But hopefully we'll get something in our ear that tells him he's okay at some point during the day.
Yeah, definitely so. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, or you've just arrived at the circuit and you're unsure why we are under safety car of race 1 for the Milltek Civic Cup, we had just had an incident at turn number 1. So driver is out of the car, that I have just been told, so that is good to hear. But yes, Alfie Therefall, the number 66, after an impact with the tyre barrier at Park Corner. Red flag has come out. Now that will be not for the driver. Of course, the driver is out of the car. If I have been told, that will be, of course, for the damage to the safety barrier. Of course, the marshals will have to repair that.
Yeah.
If it has been overly damaged, they will have to work on that to make sure that the track is safe for the rest of the running for the rest of the day, and that's the more important thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's the safety for all involved, drivers, marshals, medical crew, spectators, is of the utmost importance. So they are currently driving past our commentary box. They'll probably line up over at the pit wall, which is obviously about half a lap's time. And Thackeray, as I said, won't be overly pleased with that fact, but he is putting in some very, very quick times. Look, he's actually got the best lap of the race so far by 200s. Well, he's 200th of a second into the 38, which is very, very impressive indeed. Near qualifying pace for Dan Thackeray. In fact, actually, I think it might be quicker. Here's a replay, AJ.
Yeah, so coming into Park Corner then at the top of the hill, you can just see coming. I think that's a brake failure, because you see, he looked like he went for the brakes. Nothing happened, and then suddenly it locked up, but it locked up millimeters before he went onto the grass. And of course, it was a cold morning this morning. I suspect that grass will be still quite slippery, and just no way of being able to stop that. And like you say, yeah, quite a sizable bit of damage to the barrier there. I suspect that cameraman might need a new set of cameraman shorts as well.
Yeah, that would have been pretty scary, wouldn't it? He's done well to film all of that, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it looked very dramatic, lots of smoke, and obviously he's been catapulted into the air and everything like that. But what we will say is that obviously the driver's out the car, which is fantastic news, but the barriers did exactly what they needed to do, isn't it? And although, yes, it looks like the car's been catapulted in the air, that's the best thing for it. You know, at the end of the day, is dissipating all that energy that is being sent into it. So the tyre's doing exactly what they need to do, and that is exactly why we need to rebuild them as well. And the marshals do a fantastic job here, and they'll probably get the forklifts out and all those sort of good stuff to make sure it's all in the proper order, because these tyre barriers are heavy. There's no mean feat to move these things around. So obviously they'll need some machinery input, I'm sure.
Yes. Now the question we'll have now is that there was just over 5 minutes of that race remaining. Of course, a 15-minute race. So we were about 75% of the way through, maybe 60% of the way through the race. What does that mean in terms of a restart? Do we restart with that time remaining? Do they call the race there? That is a question, I think, for timing. I may go and find out.
Yeah, I think you've thrown a question at me there that I might not have been prepared for. Normally, it's a case of they'll end the race if 75% of the race has been done. They'll just call it, because there's a schedule to keep to and noise restrictions and all these sort of things. However, I think it's about 65% of the race done, isn't it? Unfortunately, the time has disappeared from our screens and on TSL. It's been put straight to 0, which doesn't always necessarily mean that the race is done and dusted. They will just reset it with any agreed amount of time. The thing is, a 5-minute sprint around Cadwell, although probably very entertaining. Sounds fantastic. It could be a bit chaotic, couldn't it? But obviously, we're hoping that we see as much action out on track as we possibly can. I suppose ultimately, we're already 15 to 20 minutes behind schedule, thanks to a drift car that I believe went off early on in the first session of the day. If this takes more than 10 minutes to try and resurrect, then maybe they'll just call it and try and get back on schedule. We'll have to wait and see.
The only benefit of where the car made impact at Park Corner is that there is no Armco barrier there.
Yeah.
It's just tyres. So if it's a case of just repositioning tyres, hey ho,
there shouldn't be much reason to hold on.
It shouldn't be much. It shouldn't take much time. Of course, I'm not a marshal. I'm not a race director in any way, shape, or form. I could say, yeah, just put the tyre wall there. Yeah, that's fine. Green flag, let's go. But yeah, no, there could be a lot of things that would mean that the race wouldn't go ahead. So yes, we're not clever enough for that.
No, that's why they get paid what they do, and we just get given a microphone to talk about racing, what's going on in front of us.
Yes.
Yeah, if the race does finish like this, well, there's a point system, obviously, and I'm not going to sit here and try and say, oh, it's guaranteed to be this amount of points per driver if they finish the race here, because some championships, as I said, do sort of restrict the championship points if there's a sort of cancelled race, shall we say. But what I will tell you is if you do come in first and the race runs to its full length and a full points are awarded, first gets 25, second gets 22 points, third gets 20, and it goes down in intricates of 2. As it looks like drivers are starting to close their doors and maybe get ready.
Yeah, so driver doors closing, drivers scurrying back to their cars. I think they were having a quick chat with the mechanics and just thought, oh, you're going, quick, get back in. So
positive sign, hopefully.
It is a positive sign. The safety car has just pulled out, so the safety car are now back onto the circuit. They could potentially be going for a rolling lap, and they are starting to roll away now. So not a long stop then.
Yeah, there are still red lights being flashed about. TSL has still got red flag listed on it. And obviously, like we said, Parc Fermé scrutineering assembly is at the other side of the circuit from where these cars are currently based. And the fact that they're not screaming off in a... Yeah, it looks like they're getting turned actually off the circuit, doesn't it? So unfortunately, this may well be it. I don't like to say it, but it's never a positive sign when we have to do that.
Well,
that might well be why.
We're definitely not going green flag with that there, are we? So, yeah, no, they still need to recover the car there quite clearly. So it looks like cars are returning to the pit lane. So that looks like potentially that race 1 for the Milltek Civic Cup, or Milltek Sport Civic Cup, will be called Thackeray, Luff and Bensley, your top 3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, from Thackeray's perspective and Bensley's perspective, a fantastic job well done for those two, because they've made a lot of moves up the order. If you're talking about Luff, in particular Alistair Camp, they'll probably be a little bit disappointed with how that's gone. We'll read you out the top 10, but we will confirm it when race 2 rolls around as well, because obviously we'll go and have a chat to a few people and see what the crack is. So Dan Thackeray takes the victory as it stands at the moment. Luff in second place, Bensley in third. Fourth place was Lewis. In fact, there we go. Just like magic, our Alpha Live directors are sticking that up on your screen. Redford in 5th position. A really good drive by him. He started in 8th place with that new engine. Catton, who was off the circuit probably more times than he was on it when our cameras cut to him, he ended up in 6th position. Edmondson in 7th. 8th was Lane. Alf Williams was 9th. And then 10th, and as I said, I'll just read out the top 10, is Alf Williams. So, sorry, no, it wasn't. It was DeClaudio. My apologies there. And in fact, it looks like we're rolling. We might as well do the rest of them. Brennan in 11th place. McDonald in 12th. Alistair Camp ended up coming all the way down in 13th position. Now, that will score him a couple of points. That'll score him 6 points, and you do get a point for starting. I can hear the drift cars starting to rev their engines, so I'll hurry this up. McHugh in 14th, Gardner in 15th, 16th is Dave Marshall, winning the production category as well. 17th was Brooks Hillman in 18th, Jeekins in 19th, the Threlfall in 20th position. 21st, Alden, Cripps in 22nd, 23rd was Lewis, and then a few drivers that at the moment don't look like they're DNS. Threlfall, Welch, and a few others that I've just cut off the screen. I think Bailey and Hughes there, unfortunately, as well. So there is Threlfall's car getting onto the back of the flatbed. Really unfortunate for Alfie Threlfall. He did come, I believe it was 3rd in the championship last year in the production class. He's moved up into the cup class. It hasn't exactly started well for him. Fingers crossed, and we're praying that the car is okay for the next race, and obviously the driver is as well.
Yes, indeed. Tyre Bowser are going to be sorted. Jack, I think you need to get your roaming microphone and you need to go and find our race winner from that one, despite being in the interesting circumstances that it was. Yes, you're going to head out there and chat to those drivers. So bear with us, ladies and gents. We're going to take a short break for the time being. We'll be back in just a moment's time with our race winner from race 1 of the Milltek Sport Civic Cup.
for voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world. Choose Maximum Networks.
A little bit of a rush. At the moment, there's a lot of Civics in the assembly area. The drifts have gone out on circuit. The barrier is still being repaired. And what I believe is the idea at the moment is that we're going to be going back to another 6-minute race straight after, a 5-minute race even, straight after the drifts are finished and once we've got the barriers repaired. So it's all a bit hectic right now. It's all a little bit hard to argue. So I gave you the full rundown of the top 10, where they all finished. Consider that the grid for this particular upcoming race. We'll try and read it out again, but we can just see that a couple of the drivers are actually starting to try and get into the assembly area. We're going to try and have a chat to a few of these drivers as well. Obviously, they're in the cars at the moment. They don't necessarily want a camera stuck in their face. But drivers don't always get what they want, so we're going to do it anyway. Just while the marshals and everything have a chat to them, sort out where they need to go, because obviously we can't have them queuing up by the scrutineering bay. We'll sort of have a chat to them. But right now, Dan Thackeray is right in front of me. No marshals are chatting to him. I think a mechanic is, or a supporter is. I'm going to go stick a camera in his face, hopefully. Dan, is it okay if we have a chat? Right, I'm not sure how much you know any more than we do, but I think you're going for another 5-minute race. You dominated that one at the start. How's this one going to go for you, do you reckon?
Yeah, not sure. I mean, I've got a really good start and tried to make the most of it on the first lap. I actually made a bit of a mistake and thought I'd thrown it away, but I think the battling behind helped me keep a bit of a gap. It's a bit of a shame what happened. It looked like quite a big crash. I hope Alfie's all right. I think it was Alfie.
He seems to be out the car, so hopefully that means that he's probably going to be all right. Plan for this one then. You got off the line fantastically well. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because obviously Matt Luff has got another opportunity at trying to get a better restart here.
I know, it's probably the worst time for the red flag to come for me. If it's a standing start again as opposed to safety car, it's going to be tough, to be honest. I've just got to hope I can maintain first and hold him off because he's very fast.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on that one. I'll say the first half of the race won probably is the best way of describing it. Now we're going to go and have a chat. We've already spoken to him a fair few times already, but again, if he opens his door, I'm going to suggest that means he's hoping to have a chat. We've already chatted to you so many times today, Matt, but I want to get a little bit of a rundown of what that race was like for you, because the start didn't quite go to plan, and you just seemed to be, as you were getting going, and obviously finished.
Yeah, no, the start wasn't too bad. Off the line, the first 50 metres was okay. Dan got a brilliant start, come alongside, and then I think Morgan Bailey was up my inside, and we just made a bit of contact, and there's some damage to the left rear. I don't know if the camera can see, but look at the steering wheel. It's pointing straight at the minute. That's the damage that I've taken so far.
Is that straight?
That's straight.
Good luck.
Thank you.
That's, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to try and concentrate on that one. That is heavy, Matt. No, we might be speaking to you afterwards if you can keep it on the circuit, let alone if you get on the podium. That's very well done, because he looked like he was gathering some pace as well. We're going to have a look at Bensley here, the number 14. Ryan Bensley, at the moment, sat in third position. Ryan, are we okay to have a chat? Fantastic. Now, I've been told not to touch the car, Ryan, but how was that for you?
Yeah, we had a good opening few laps. We're a little bit on the back foot pace-wise, but we still had strong pace, which I think probably highlights that a lot of these boys in front of us are going to have a problem come later in the year when we get up to speed. So we're just here. We're still understanding the car. We're with Zest Race Car Engineering this weekend, so yeah, they're doing a great job on the car, and the real hero is my dad, really. Without him, then we wouldn't be this far up. He's still mechanicking for me, so he's done a great job on the car as well.
Well, fantastic. Thank you very much. Very quickly, you probably had the best view of the house in terms of that crash with Alfie. He's out the car and everything. Apparently he's okay, but we're repairing that barrier. What was it like from your perspective?
Yeah, well, obviously Alfie's my teammate, and it looked very scary, him going off. Initially, it just looked like he was going to run wide, like he outbroke himself, but I didn't see much more than that.
Well, fair enough. Thank you very much. I think we might be getting manoeuvred around, so I'll let you drive over, Ryan. And there we go. A chat to current top 3. It's hard to say, obviously, podium sitters, because they're not necessarily podium sitters at the moment, but we thought we'd always try and get a few words. Now, marshals are trying to, well, place cars and where they need to be, which is understandable. So we're going to step out of the way slightly. But what we can do is have an appreciation for just how great these Civic Cups cars are looking this year as well. 2022, our drivers are really pulling out all the stops to try and get their sponsors noticed. They're trying to just get their time on camera, and it's very refreshing, really, because quite a lot of the time you see a lot of series. I mean, have a look at Lewis there in the 271 machine. That stands out from a mile away. It's a fantastic thing for Max Lewis there, and that's the sort of thing I think sponsors really like, is to have that awareness and be able to get a car caught on camera. I mean, I'm picking that out because it looks so good, and the sponsors are getting some fantastic airtime as well. Now, there we go, Matt Luff. Now, he said that he had a little bit of damage on the rear left. His steering wheel was pointed in the wrong direction, and are we potentially going to see why? Mechanics on the car trying their best to just figure out what's happening. In fact, we look like we might be going for a full new wheel. Obviously, we're not. I'm not sure. Park firmware conditions and all that sort of thing. I'm sure they'll be okay to do this because they've only just started and the car's been in here for a good 5 minutes or so while we've been chatting to everyone. So I'm sure they'll have been given the okay to give this a go, but it's certainly unusual. I mean, the whole situation is unusual, let's face it. A couple more cars coming in to be parked up then, and I think the reason, I haven't heard much of the drift cars out there, so potentially one of the reasons why they went out on circuit at all was just literally just to get them out of the way so we could get the Civics up, get the Civics in. I mean, obviously, another very individual characteristic of Cadwell Park, especially for an MSV circuit, is the fact that it's pretty much all one way. Now, there's Caton, the number 54. I'll be interested to have a chat with Harvey because he, as I said, spent a lot of the race basically on the outside of the circuit. I'd love to have a chat with Harvey and see what he was thinking over the course of this race. And there's a little bit of grass. Is there a bit of front splitter damage as well? I want to know if there's any damage to that car. As we start to get some angles of the cars getting parked up. Obviously, we got the fantastic looking podium there. Liquimolly Milltek Sport podium, Maximum Networks, obviously. As a few more of the cars. We're just trying to figure out where these cars are going to go. In fact, we'll go and have a chat, if we can, potentially to Harvey Caton. One, to check how we say his second name, because Caton is what I'm going for, but it might be Caton. And two, to sort of get his perspective on a few of those offs as well that we saw. So let's have a chat to Alfie. And one driver who I want to have a chat to, but I'm not sure how receptive he'll be after that first half, is Alistair Camp. It didn't seem to be going well for him. I want to know why. I'm sure everybody else does as well, but I'm not sure he'll be overly keen to tell us why before the end of this race. We'll try and have a chat with him. Harvey, is there any chance we can have a quick chat? Yeah, sure. I'm going to open your door if that's okay. Harvey, the reason why we're coming over and having a chat was, one, we wanted to get a bit of a rundown on your race so far, and two, looked like a few off-track moments there. We want to sort of hear what your perspective is.
So I got a pretty good start compared to everyone else. Luckily, I avoided someone who stalled at the start, and obviously throughout the race I've been off the track quite a few times. Really just because I'm a bit nervous because it's my first race, but hopefully I can keep it clean for this restart.
Well, to be honest, having been your first race, even if you do go off a couple of times, the fact that you're still going, you're still pushing on strong, I think you should take a lot of confidence from that. Really good job. Cadwell's not an easy track, but thank you very much for having a chat to us. It's Harvey Caton. Oh, also, is it Caton or Caton?
Caton.
Caton. Well, I was saying that right the first time round. Thank you very much, Harvey. And I'll tell you what, I just stuck my head in that for about 30 seconds and I'm already feeling a sweat coming on right now. So it's going to be a lovely commentary box with DJ later on. Now, Alistair Camp has just about parked up. We're actually watching McHugh now, the number 39. That's Paul McHugh, of course. coming to park up, and once he's done that, we'll try and have a chat to Alistair Camp. The very buzzing atmosphere yet again, and it looks like Matt Luff's car has been just about put back together. Fantastic job by all the mechanics as well. Big shout out to them. And obviously a nice little sticker for the Orange Army on the back, who have done a fantastic job here today so far. And it's only the beginning of the day. We've got a long way to go until the end of this Bank Holiday Monday. And as we sort of pan around, Alistair Camp is having a chat to a few of the mechanics. Now, it's much more important that he has a chat to them than it is to us. I know you viewers probably think the other way around, and if DJ was here, he might just go and stick a camera in his face regardless. But I'm a little bit more polite than that, and if there is a problem with the car, he needs to have a chat with the mechanics and maybe talk it through with them. If there's a way he can sort of rectify it, or if they can change anything on the car before we get going on this second half of the race. I have to say, we commented earlier on about how fantastic it is to see so many cars in this championship. What it does do, though, is delay a restart. Let's face it, it's taken quite a while to get them all in the assembly area. Part of that might be, obviously, the fact that we are waiting for the barriers to be repaired. It looks like Alistair is deep in conversation, so maybe we'll try and move on. Now, a driver we chatted to beforehand was Dave Marshall. Now, he's over there. He obviously stayed in the lead of the production category, and mainly because I know Dave quite well, and I'm not afraid to go and stick a microphone in his face and be awkward. I'm going to go do it again. Dave, fancy having another very quick chat? You look very relaxed. You look like you're on a Sunday cruise, to be honest, with the window down. Looks like you might just be off to Mackey's or something.
I've always got time for you, Jack.
Thank you very much. How was that race going from your perspective?
Yeah, don't know what happened at the start, but the lights went off and no one in front moved. So I crawled, but we didn't really have anywhere to go. Then I believe Jenkins got down the left-hand side, and I went, right, there's some work to do now. So got head down first 2 laps, and then I think I got him down into the hairpin over the mountain. But now we've got this restart, and it looks like they're putting me back behind the cup cars that are overtaken, which, if I'm honest, how's that out of position? I've overtook them clean and fair and square.
I was about to raise that point, really. We mentioned it whilst we were in the commentary box. Well, we're trying to think of things to say, really, is the fact that your qualifying time and a lot of the other production qualifying times were actually in the middle of the cup category, yet they stuck you behind, obviously. I'm sure there'll be regulations and reasons for it, but from your perspective, it's it can be a little bit frustrating, I'm sure.
Massively frustrating. You know, you work pretty hard out there to try and gain as much of an advantage as you can. So I think I put 2 or 3 cars behind me and Jenkins, and then lo and behold, it's all been undone, and then looks like we're going to have another sprint race. So it is what it is. It's rules and regs, but we're happy with the car. It's performing well. But yeah, see what the rest can bring.
You had a very quick chat with the marshal as you were lining up. Now, we feared the worst at that point. Were you just sort of nervous and wanted to have a nice soothing tone to talk to before the race?
No. So we were told that it was going to be a staggered start. So there was going to be 4 pit spaces left between the back of cup and the front of production. So that allows at least us at the front to have a little bit of a battle before we're on the rest of the pack. And then lo and behold, the marshal said, no, you're right up to the back of them. So bit of confusion there going on, but it'll all sort itself out.
It's all fun and games in motorsport, isn't it? Theory only takes you so far, doesn't it?
We've got a bit of a hashtag going with this car. It's just constant struggle. So that seems to be the theme of the year, I think so.
Well, fingers crossed it isn't that much of a struggle for the rest of this one. Good luck, Dave. Right, now I can hear some drifting going on, unless that's just somebody having a really bad crash. But no, I think it is a drift. A drift car out there at the moment. So I'll tell you what. Who can we go and chat to now? Who was some of the biggest drivers? I wanted to chat to Jordan Brennan, actually, another driver that I've had a chat to before and quite often speak to in terms of the virtual racing world. But I'm trying to find where he is at the moment. Jordan Brennan, he is number 98. So you've probably seen him on the camera as we've scanned around, but I am yet to. He might be parked behind. Yep, he's over here. In fact, he's parked behind a Transit, which I can't blame him, to be honest. Now, he's currently out the car, and unfortunately, although I've chatted to Jordan, commentated on him with Dave Marshall and Andy McEwen for a very long time, it's one of those awkward situations. I've never met him in person, so I don't know his face. We'll try and have a look and maybe ask a few drivers around. Sorry, guys, does anybody know where Jordan is? Has he just wandered off? Well, maybe we'll hang around his car. And obviously, you're in the top 10 at the moment, De Claudio. How has it been from your perspective? A hell of a start.
Yeah, this is new to me, the Civic Cup. I've not done it before. It's definitely an eye-opener, that's for sure. I got a good start, but then obviously somebody had stalled on the start line, so and you can't really go anywhere on the start, to be honest. It's really narrow around here. But this is my first time here. I've never raced here before. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying it so far.
I was going to say, first time out at Cadwell, and to be in the top 10 of any race series, especially one so popular as this, that must be something you're pretty pleased with.
Yeah, I think if I can come home today in the top 15 out of all 3 races, I would be happy with that, because I've not done a one-make series before. So, but no, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's good.
Well, what is, I mean, obviously I've got all the notes that you filled out on the commentary forms in, but for the people at home, what is your background then? If this is your first time in the Civics and you've done multi-class racing before sort of thing, what is your background in racing?
So I basically raced in the Saloon Car Championship at Castlecombe, raced a little Peugeot 106, won the championship there 3 times, outright lap records. So yeah, and Neil at Pro Alloys Racing has given me the opportunity to be a guest driver. So I won't be doing the next round until Donington Park. Somebody else will be stepping in. So I'd just like to appreciate, thank Neil for the opportunity. It's been great.
Yeah, fantastic. Always nice to give a shout out to the people that have supported along the way. Good luck for the rest of the race. I believe a 5-minute sprint race. You never know, a couple more positions. You could be towards the top 5 if you play your cards right, I'm sure. Good luck for it. Thank you very much. Right. He's still not in his car. Drivers are now starting just to avoid me, I think, because obviously we've got a while until we're pretty much back out on track. I do apologise if you've tuned in waiting for a race, because we were a little bit behind schedule, as it was, 10-15 minutes. And now we've got this to deal with as well, unfortunately. That's McDonald's. And for the sake of it, why don't we have a chat with Dan McDonald's? Is that okay? He's getting out of his car. I felt like that was a really bad time to actually ask him that. But Dan, first of all, same question as we put to everyone straight away. How was that race for you so far? Obviously, we've only had 10 minutes of it, but how was it?
So far, it was really good, actually. I had a bit...
I feel like just take... I'll give you a second to take that off. I feel like that's really mean, isn't it? It's not always as flattering to a driver trying to take their helmet off as they make it look in F1. Sorry, start again. How was the race?
It was really good. Bogged down a bit in the second phase of the start, and the Pro Alloys car got alongside me, kept him behind, he got me into turn 4, and then... kept the pace, kept with him. He had an incident with Camp, and Camp was really slow, so I managed to power past him on the straight. So I'm just trying to get into the top 10 to get the reverse grid pole, really. But no, a good start, and first race, can't really complain with where I am. Gained 2 positions. And
I was going to say, the reason why I noticed your car specifically is because our commentary box is just there, and I noticed you as you went past. I think it was even on Alistair Camp. You were very aggressively looking towards the inside. You weren't messing around. You were trying to show intention.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, this guy's the champion here. You have to really show them that you're going for it. And he was really slow coming out of the mountain, so I tried to, just kind of make him know I'm there coming into the twisty section. But then I got him on the straight. He tried to block me a little bit, but that's
I mean, it's racing at the end of this Cadwell Park. It's just a little jink left can always make the difference.
Yeah, exactly. But 5 minutes I think left. So gonna try and get that top 10 and keep this guy behind. So. Can't really complain with that.
I was going to say, if you ever come ahead of a reigning champion, I think that's a positive result, isn't it, at the end of the day? Good luck for it. Is there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go? Any sponsors, teammates, a mechanic that stood right next to you?
Just a big thanks to Kinetic Motorsport and my mates and my family for letting this happen. And I didn't think I was going to be here like a month ago, and here I am, first race ever. So can't really complain with getting in 2 positions.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Well, good luck for the next 5 minutes or so. I should really ask that more often, isn't it? Anybody like to give a shout out to you? Because it's always nice to give a shout out to the mechanics and everything like that. Alistair, can we have a quick chat if you don't mind? I think we sort of want to. Well, I mean, what happened off the start to start with?
Just got no VTEC. They've got no power at all top end, so that's why in the straight line just sitting up.
I was going to say, yeah, you just kept sort of slipping back. I mean, everybody can be caught out of a race start. That's natural, but I mean, is there a problem that you can't be fixing until the next race, potentially?
Yeah, we're not allowed under the bonnet, so we just wanted to check the VTEC solenoid plug to make sure everything's all right under there. But yeah, the start felt good, like got everything where I wanted it to be, got the launch, and as soon as I went and my foot went down, the car didn't go with it. So I was like, automatically, there's a problem, and I've never dropped that down to 6th where we've been before, so and then onto the back straight. Literally, I was just going down, then the 2 cars just went straight round me like I was sat still, and I was like, it's going to be a long race. And then I seen the safety car, and I thought, you know what, I was counting the cars, thought 13 to try and get 3 cars, but realistically, if it's the same as what it was just, I think we're only going to go backwards from here, but it's one of them calls. Do we go in the pits and see if we can start from the back and fix it? Because I think from the back, with the pace we showed from qualifying, there's a chance, but or do we just sit where we are and hope in the reverse grid we can tag along the back of the front lot and we go with them in the next race and rely on the 3rd and count this as a drop round for this year already?
I was going to say, it's not ideal, is it, a way to restart the championship, considering you ended it so well last time. As you said, damage limitation, is that where you sort of heads at? You're just trying to make sure that you drop as least amount of points as possible, even if it is an unusual race that we have on our hands?
Yes, of course. It's like just going round. There's a lot of things going through your head because you're not where you want to be, and you're thinking, do I come in the pits and then risk it? And then you come in, and one of the lads in the pits will say you should have just stayed out and banked on the reverse grid. So it's one of them scenarios, and I don't think if it is the VTEC we're going to get that change in the pit lane in time to get back out and make numbers up. So, but it's one of them, we're going to change it now in the pits, and then you've got no way of testing it really to make sure it's all right for the next one. So it's all mind games, isn't it? But hey, that's motorsport for you, but we love it. So.
I was going to say, theory only gets you so far in motorsport, doesn't it? And you can do all the right things, and all of a sudden something snap of your fingers can go all wrong. There is an argument to be said, though. Very narrow track here, quite hard to pass. If something's going to go wrong in terms of engine, Cadwell's not the worst place to do it, rather than, say, Snetterton or Silverstone.
Yeah, a couple of lads have said that to me, but they won't wipe the smile on my face, no worries. We'll just keep going. We'll just keep doing what we can do, innit? That's all we can do. We're here for a bit of a laugh, a bit of fun, and we get where we can get, so...
Fair enough. Good luck for the last 5 minutes, and hopefully we'll see you back stronger for race 2 and 3 later on. Right, we've got to try and carry on. I mean, the drift cars are still out, so we've still got to find people to have a chat to. At the moment, we're just going up and down the top 10. I want to swing back round maybe towards the top 5. We had a chat to our top 3 earlier on in Thackeray and Luff and Bensley. Obviously, the 271, I gave him a shout out before because his car looks so damn good. I'm going to give the 271 of Max Lewis maybe an opportunity to shout out some of the drivers, some of the companies that are on the side of his car. Because right now, them and the 70 of Hillman probably winning the loudest livery from my vote. Anyway. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Jack.
Are you giving us an update that I don't have to keep talking anymore?
I'm going to give you an update. Unfortunately, you are going to have to keep talking for a little bit longer.
I mean, it's what they pay me for, but I can't lie. I need a drink.
Yeah, no, I'm not lying. You're doing a sterling job. Yeah, so we had a little bit of an update at the moment. So I think there's going to be around a 30-minute wait until we're going to be going out for the second half. So if you can fill for another 30 minutes.
I mean, I might need to have to sub in a little bit at some point. But no, I'm kidding. We're all good. We've got loads of drivers to chat to.
You've got loads of fantastic drivers here to have a chinwag. You've had a chat with how many now?
I mean, I can do it again. I can go round again, put it that way.
Just do the rounds again. Yeah, have another chinwag. Just I spoke to you earlier. I can't remember the questions I asked. I might ask you the same questions again, but yeah.
We'll find a way, don't worry.
Wing it.
Yeah, we'll wing it, don't worry. I'm sure everybody out there on the circuit is enjoying the drifts anyway. So, yeah, let's have a chat to Lewis and Max Lewis. Obviously, Max, if you don't mind having a chat now, you've obviously had a good start to that first race. But the reason why I wanted to actually come over and chat to you is actually because your car looks amazing. And I want to give you an opportunity to sort of have a chat through the race, but also give a bit of a shout out to a lot of names that are currently on the side of it.
Yeah. Well, GSF, obviously I run a garage. GSF, like we work with a lot with the parts, and they've kindly sponsored me bits on the car, so that's good. Mintro's my own garage, and Premier Wheels do all my powder coating, and we'll do all the wheels, do all the powder coating, all the fluorescent orange, and Stuart Star Science does all the graphics, which, as most people say, does a real good job, to be fair. Transforms the car.
I was going to say, I mean, as you were coming in then, it definitely caught my eye, as I said. The reason why we came over and having a chat to you, not at all to do with the 30-minute of filling that we have to do. Give us an idea then of how your race went, I suppose, and a bit of a background of your race history.
Well, I started off, my dad used to own a stock car track in Worcester, so I did that, obviously I was growing up, and then I went, did autograss, which was on dirt. Did that for about 8-9 years, and then 2019 went to Civic Cup. Did a couple of seasons, and then last year I actually didn't race because put in planning permission for a house and you can't do everything. So that sort of came first, and we're still waiting for planning permission, which is a bit annoying, but sod it, let's go racing.
I was going to say, I think there's got to be priorities in life at some point, haven't you? And you've got to get out there on track. If you've got that itch, you might as well scratch it, sort of thing. Well, you're doing a great job at the moment. What are your ambitions, I suppose, for the rest of this season? Is it a case of keep building and hitting top fives?
Yeah, well, I've sort of aimed this weekend to come top 10. That was, I wanted to get in the mix of top 10.
Doing a good job so far.
I'm in the right place at the moment, so we'll see how it gets on. So, yeah. But yeah, please, really, can't ask for any more.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for having a chat to us, and we'll be keeping an eye out. We won't need to look very closely because it's always going to catch our eye, but fantastic job. Well done. Anybody willing to have a chat right here? We are literally just going round now. Will Redford, you're actually the one. Don't get me wrong, we mentioned it in the commentary. Didn't you have a new engine put in at some point recently? Is that the right driver that I'm talking to?
It is. Well, it wasn't a new engine. It was the old one out the back of the truck that's not been run for months. But
much better.
Yeah. Well, we had an engine failure on Saturday in the morning practice, so we got no practice in. I've had no practice this whole weekend. We've had like 2 laps in the 15-minute practice yesterday, but we got the engine out, got a new engine in, dressed it all on the grass, got it in the car. The Kinetic boys did a great job getting it in the car and getting it running for today. So we've finally sorted out the issues with it, and it's running on the pace it should be. I
was going to say, we had a chat to Dave earlier on, actually. He said, make sure if you get an opportunity, come and have a chat to some of our drivers, because they're right on it. And you are right on it, even though you haven't had that many opportunities at practicing at all. You're right here, front of the order. Are you hoping actually to progress even further in this last 5 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it's a standing restart, so anything can happen. If I get a good start, you might see me on the podium, but I'm just hoping to hold a good position for the reverse grid in race 2.
Bit of background then from you personally in terms of driver history and racing experience and everything like that. Sort of what's been your last, I don't know, 5-6 years of racing, I suppose?
So I've had half a season in real world motorsport, and that's it. And that was last year in the Junior Saloon Car Championship in the Saxos. I did 5 rounds in that, came away with 5 podiums out of 11 races, so did all right. And then because it's a junior championship, I'm obviously a bit too old to go at it again this year, so we've decided to try and hop into a full season of Civics. But before that, I haven't done karting. I've come straight from some sim racing.
What sim racing have you done? Because I've chatted to quite a few sim racers, as you know. And any sort of other stuff that you've been going on with? How often do you jump on the sim or anything like that? And has it helped with the real world racing?
Yeah, it's absolutely helped. I mean, that's where all my speeds come from. I wouldn't be up the front if I didn't know how to drive, and that's where I've learned how to drive, is on iRacing, doing multiple different leagues. But yeah, that's where I've learnt my craft, and it's been a difficult transition getting it, like, going into the real world. There's so much more to it. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes, and there's so much you've got to learn. But it's the fundamental driving, like the technique is the same, and that's what's carried across.
And it hasn't, because I know quite a few sim racers who, once they jump into a real car, they maybe get a little bit put off and they actually get a little bit scared, especially around somewhere like Cadwell. You don't have that real fear in the sim world. You have it very much here. We've obviously seen Alfie Threlfall, who's luckily okay, but is that not something that's sort of even crossed your mind that much?
It is something you've got to get used to, because real world cars, they move around a lot, and that's something you don't get in the sim because you're sat in your chair at home. You don't feel the car moving about, and that's where the confidence aspect comes in, because when you've got someone who's confident with the car and they know they can let it move about, and that it's going to stick and it's going to grip, that's when the speed comes. And in the sim, it's not really something you got to worry about because you're not scared of crashing. But yeah, it's just all confidence in the real world and getting used to how the car moves about.
Well, thank you very much for having a chat to us. To be honest, the reason why the sim and you can't feel it moving about is why I'm awful in it. I can only drive a real-world car. But anyway, that's enough about me. Shout-outs. Anybody like to give a shout-out to? Any names on the side of the car? Any mechanics? Any mums, dads, brothers, sisters? Anybody in the world that you want to give a shout-out to? Take as long as you want, honestly.
Oh, where do we start? Well, obviously, first off, massive thanks to Kinetic boys for getting the car fixed and out for today. It was quite a difficult Saturday trying to figure out what we were actually going to do, but all my sponsors on the car, they've all got me here today, and I want to send a massive thank you to Nest in the Woods, Camel Travel, Research College, Limb Spice Lounge, and of course Connex, the main sponsor, who have personally paid for this weekend. So,
did you go to Research?
I did go to Research.
In Cheshire? Yeah, so did I. I mean, it would have been about 10 years after you, but yeah, I didn't even notice that logo. Anyway, good luck for the rest of the race, and obviously maybe we'll be having a chat to you a little later on if you grab on the podium as well and stuff like that. And well done for doing it with that new engine. In fact, Dave, do you want to have a quick chat with us? Are you okay to jump in? Dave Buki, who is actually, we were talking about sim racing, obviously, you're part of the VRRC sort of crew that me and Andy actually commentate on, aren't you? And But this year, we'll talk about sims in a minute because it's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. This year, obviously, you're not jumping in the car, you're sort of just running the show, aren't you? What's the crack from your perspective?
Well, I've done the Civic Cup for 8 years now, and I decided to start the team last year. So last year was the first time running the team, but at the same time I was driving. More times I was under a car doing a gearbox or changing engines than actually concentrate on the driving. And this year I just decided that, you know, put all my efforts into running the team and, you know, developing the company. So that's what we've been doing. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I'm seeing the boys out there on the track,
getting that itch.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I've done a bit of sim racing recently. But as you know, when I come onto VRRC, I've had very little practice, and yeah, it's all time in the sim. But we'll hit the nail on the head in terms of sim racing and real life racing, because you don't get that sensation of the rear of the car moving around. Talking from experience of doing both, obviously real life and sim. The sim's great, you know, you have a fantastic race and it really does help with your racecraft. But in terms of the feel of the car, you can't feel that movement, and that is something that you can't simulate. Well, you can with obviously your actuators or whatever they're called. But
it's never quite the same though, is it?
No, it's not the same. And at the end of the day, you can press escape and reset, can't you, on a sim, whereas in a real life car, unfortunately, like what's happened to Threlfall in that race, so I hope he's okay.
He's out of the car apparently. That's as far as I got shoved out here and got told to talk to drivers. So, but apparently he's out the car and the car's recovered. There's obviously action out on circuit. So fingers crossed we'll hear news soon.
Yeah, I saw him up there before and he gave me a thumbs up, so that's good.
You know more than us then.
Yeah, well, as a fellow racer, you never want to see somebody stuff the car into a wall and, you know, potential of health risks and everything. So, but yeah, in terms of running the team this year, we've got a great bunch of lads. Tyler's been with us for a couple of years. We've got Lewis Rose, who I raced with for the past 4 years in the Civic Cup, so we know these cars well. We know the EP3 good. We know the Civic Cup well, and hopefully with the right drivers, like we've got Will, obviously he's a front-running guy. We've got Dan McDonald, who you might get to have a chat with later.
We've already had a chat to him. In fact, he's already thanked Kinetic and everything. Don't worry, we got you in there.
Yeah, we got him well trained. But no, Dan again, like Will, has come from sim racing, and hats off to Dan because he's never been in a race car before. He's done two test sessions, and he's been within a second of pole times from last year. He had a bit of trouble in qualifying yesterday with getting a lap, but I think he will develop over the year, and touch wood, he can get the sponsorship to race, because as you know as well as I do, it's difficult to find the budget to go racing.
Especially at the moment, isn't it? I think a lot of people probably would have found it a bit easier, say 4 years ago, but unfortunately now people are a little bit tighter with their pockets, which is understandable. But it's the reason why, again, we have to mention how great it is to have such a popular grid here today.
The Civic Cup's fantastic, and hats off to Stuart Lyons and Maximum Motorsport for putting on a great show, along with Time Attack and TCR, which I think we're supporting 5 times this year. It really is a great package to offer to the drivers and obviously to other sponsors as well. I don't really know any other championship where there's 10,000 tickets sold at a club meeting, and the cars are all well prepared, the drivers are good, it's fast racing, it's hard racing. It's just a great championship to be involved in, and that's why I decided to start the team, and you know, I'm quite enjoying sitting at the other side of the fence and watching them all go around. And that was my car. I reluctantly sold it to...
That's why you're hanging around right next to it, isn't it? Making sure Will keeps care of it.
Yeah, that's it. I'll look after it with him, along with the team, but it's nice to see it up there at the sharp end, and I hope it does him well for the season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dave, for having a chat to us, and very eloquently put as well, all your points. So, yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. Right, that was a nice little chat with the Kinetic Motorsport guys, and obviously Will Redford doing a brilliant job. Now, I can still hear drift cars going around the circuit, which is a bit of a shame. But, yeah, hopefully we might have a chat to a few of them. I know Edmondson, Max Edmondson, I believe that is, number 33. And he's a driver. We've obviously mentioned sim racing quite a bit. It's how I actually got my start in commentary, is through sim racing. And Max, I'll come round to you because it feels like I'm out of the way here. Hell of a helmet as well, by the way. That is a fantastic looking thing. Talk us through that to start with.
Just wanted, my old helmet was green and gold, so I thought I'd implement something new, and it looks a bit futuristic, so I got that.
It looks damn good, I have to say, as well. Talk us through your race so far and your race weekend, because you haven't done that much before, have you, in terms of sort of real-life motorsport, I believe?
No, I did actually. I did karting since I was 7, so I've done that for about 7 or 8 years. Had a year off, and now I'm doing this. Did the last 3 rounds last year. and liked it, so we're doing this year.
Oh, fantastic! It sounds awesome. How was that race to start with? Very quickly, sort of sum it up for us.
Well, I had a decent start, to be fair, and there was a bit of carnage in front, so I just got the best of what they didn't get the best of, and then just got past them.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that one. 5 minutes left to go. Moving forward, obviously that's the plan, isn't it? But sort of any hopes of ambitions, maybe cracking up that top 5, seeing what you can do in terms of points, and does that change your perspective for race 2 and 3 if you do get within that sort of earshot of podiums?
Yeah, we'll see what our pace is like, and obviously try to capitalise off that, and then try to get some good points for the championship.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Max. Now we're going to very quickly go, once the drifts have gone past me, to a very quick ad break. But thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll have Civic Cup action very soon.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
And we're back, but this time we've got Stuart Lyons. We're not talking to a driver. Well, we're talking to an ex-driver, I suppose, aren't we? But we're talking to...
I still do a bit of driving.
I know.
No.
I mean Civic Cup, I mean. Yeah.
Oh, no, I definitely don't drive. It's difficult to drive when you're running a meeting. You can't do both. It's too much going on, really. So
I was going to say, I always find it quite impressive when people who run teams actually decide to jump out and do the sport as well, let alone, obviously, if you're running it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in all angles, really. But, yeah, if you're running a meeting, you just got to focus on that. It's impossible to do the other job. I mean, you can try. I did try once, and I give up halfway through the day, so, yeah.
2022, Civic Cup, obviously we're talking about it today. What, I suppose, is the progression from your perspective? It's got a fantastically full grid. Cars look amazing. 2021, you seem to be kicking on strong.
Yeah, obviously when we picked it up, we didn't like the look of it really. You know, we always try and progress with our championships. We've run quite a few of them over the years, but you know, the cars have got to look right, and you know, the package has got to be right, which is why they're here. You know, it's everyone says that the club championship they're in is probably the best one, but we are definitely trying to make this the best club championship out there, you know, and give people, you know, everything, spectators, TVs, better, you know, and track time. So, you know, value for money. I think, you know, we are in the top 2 or 3, I think.
I was going to say, realistically, you're on a fantastic paddock, aren't you? You've got fantastic streaming with Alpha Live and everything like you've just said, but the point you sort of try and make on your website, especially, and everything, the blurb we've been given, is the fact that drivers are starting to go back to their cars. But you do it for club entry fees as well, so it's accessible for people to come into.
Yeah, because of the TCR brand. I mean, that's been very successful now. I mean, what we do, any money that we do make, we invest it into the Civic Cup so they can be along for the ride. And we've got ideas for other things in the future. So the Maximum Motorsport, we think we do a good job running race meetings, and we've got a lot of experience. We're just going to keep on pushing, So.
Very quickly, because as I said, there are movement around the cars. TCR, that went well at Alton. Are you looking forward to the rest of this year?
Yeah, we've got more cars out at Donington. I think we'll have 30 cars out. I mean, if we do get 30 cars out, I think we can say we're the biggest touring car race in the country, which would be a nice thing to headline.
I would definitely put that everywhere on social media. It might rile some feathers, but I think it's worth shouting about.
Yeah, it couldn't have gone any better for us at Alton. It's finally landed. I mean, it's affordable. I mean, people from here can go to it. It's for, I'm not a wealthy person, and I understand how much motorsport costs, but there's a lot of good drivers out there that deserve a chance in a touring car, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly, and they can take those cars over to Europe and things like that. Is sort of a way of, it's a multi-use car, unlike say other touring car series and other championship. I mean, the Civics, they pop up everywhere.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it looks like they're getting going now, but I mean, this race rerun now, I mean, we're running, I think they're going to have a 6-minute race to finish the race off, so it looks like they're getting ready now, but it's good that, I think the clerk of the course down there, he knows what he's doing by the look of it.
I was going to say, he got that all pretty sorted pretty quickly, but the drivers are back in the car. Thank you very much, Stuart. We'll have a proper chat with you later on, probably for a proper video on the socials, but thank you very much for coming and chatting to us. Right, as we mentioned, you've probably seen a lot of people running around behind us, and even behind the camera, loads of cars movement and drivers movement. We're going to probably jump back into the commentary booth sooner rather than later, because I think we may finally get the end to this race, and it's a bit of a long slog to get there. One of the longest races I've ever covered in real life, even though we haven't been moving for most of it. But I think anybody out there can probably promise you it's going to be a good last 5 minutes. So, yeah, fingers crossed. I don't know if we can jump to DJ. I think I can see him with headphones on. I don't know if he can see us. Just going to give us a signal. Yep, we're going to jump back to DJ as the drivers start to get in. Engines starting to get on, so let's start to think about getting racing for the end of the Civic Cup Race 1.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the lengthy delay there after the red flag that we had during the first race with the number 66 diving off the second park corner. Barriers were repaired, the drift cars went out for their qualifying session, and we had the amazing Jack Oliphant roaming around in the pit lane for about what felt like an hour.
Yeah, no, it felt like an hour to me. But to be fair, they were all very receptive to having interviews, which is very nice. Exactly. Sometimes you speak to drivers and it's like getting blood from a stone. But luckily, they were all very media friendly. And it was even brilliant to have a chat with Stuart Lyons at the end there. We will be having an extended chat to Stuart later on as well. And we'll put that out as a separate video on the socials, on the Civic Cup socials. So please do follow along.
On the socials,
oh,
yeah.
No.
On the socials of media, there we go. Well, as you can see, the cars are lined up ready on the starting grid. The last, just pulling up to the back there, there will be a green flag lap once again. We have got a new grid. That grid will be in the finish, or the order that they were in on the lap before the crash.
The lap before the crash?
The lap before the crash.
Okay.
So, when they last broke the timing beam. So as they broke the timing beam, they'll take it from that one. And then, yes, that
obviously
that'll
excluding Alfie, unfortunately.
Yes.
I've just had a chat with Stuart, and unfortunately didn't get time to ask him about the driving the car. But he said the driver's fine. He's given him the thumbs up and everything like that. The car is
not so fine.
Yeah, the word he used was distinctly second-hand, which is a bit of a shame. The mechanics, I'm sure, will be doing a frantic and brilliant job, I'm sure, of trying to get it up as quickly as possible for race 2. But if we don't see the car again, I'd say it's fairly understandable after a back like that.
Yes, exactly. Now, I was probably saying Alfie's last name probably massively incorrect.
Threlfall as well.
It's Threlfall, yes, it is Threlfall. Yes, I was saying it wrong. So well done, Jack. Yes, I was getting it wrong. You should have just hit me around the back of the head and just gone, yeah, get the name wrong, lad. But there we go. I've learned.
Might be by the end of the day, maybe I would.
Exactly. Here's a look at the starting grid then.
Yeah, so on pole position is Dan Thackeray. We had a chat to him earlier on with Matt Luff in second place. Bensley in row 2 along with Lewis. Then in row 3, Redford and Edmondson. Row 4, you can see Catton, who will be hoping to take less trips off to the grass this time round, with Lane alongside him. Row 5, Alp Williams and De Claudio. Row 6, Brennan and McDonald. Then row 7 will be Alistair Camp with no VTEC, which is unfortunate for him, and he'll be able to fix that before race 2. Damage limitation. Alongside him will be McHugh, Gardner on row 8 with Brooks, and then row 9 will be Hillman even, and Threlfall, the remaining Threlfall, of course. I believe, row 10, Alden and Cripps on row 10, with row 11 being Bailey and David Marshall. Row 12 will be Jeekins and Lewis. Then row 13 will be Welch, and I believe that is all she wrote. Now, it's worth noting as well that may have changed slightly on that order compared to the order that they finished their last lap in before the red flag. The only differences really will be the fact that they've put the production class back to the back of the Cup category.
Yeah, keep them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know what they're like.
Well, they're very quick. Dave Marshall didn't seem...
He was rapid, didn't he? He gained a few places in that one. He had some waft.
He did, and I mean, in qualifying, his times were in the middle of the Cup category. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I believe in driver's briefing, he said there was a little bit of a conversation about leaving a gap between the Cup category and the production class, but that never materialised. So maybe that will get changed for this restart, or I'm not sure how. I mean, Cadwell Park's grid isn't really that massive, is it? So you can't have too many open grid slots available.
It's not overly large, but yeah, no, I can see why they wouldn't do such a thing. But you know, hey ho, it is what it is. Again, we're not race directors; we don't get paid enough for that.
No, we just get told to stick a mic in front of us and talk about what we think is going on. And most of the time, that's wrong. Sometimes it's right, and we like to remember the ones that are right.
Because at that point, I was going to say, wait, you get paid? There we go. You get paid to do this? No, there we go. Well, the cars are making their way back round. They go. There's a nice shot there at the top of the mountain section of the circuit. Like you can see, a vast amount of spectators here today at Cadwell Park. Absolutely fantastic to see. Cloud has come over a little bit more out there, but the temperature is what? It's warm. It's warm.
Yeah, it's warm, especially in our commentary box with all the windows and the doors that are closed and everything like that. But out there, I'd say very pleasant. But I did stick my head in a few cars when I was having a chat to the drivers. And my goodness, the air temperature in their cars is brutal.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, especially when they've got the helmets and the fireproofs on and everything like that. That's the bit of racing I really don't is.
Yeah, quite hot.
Yes, brutally hot. Unlike, say, karting, obviously, you just running, you basically got the top down.
Just lift the visor up a little bit, get a breeze in,
It's all very easy, isn't it, to go go-kart compared to these big cars?
It's all right, isn't it? It's all right. There we go. Well, cars lining themselves up on the starting lineup then. As you can see, your man who started on the second row of the grid, third place in the number 29, Dan Thackeray, will be starting on pole position in this one. He was leading by some way, only because he had a killer start. What's going to happen at the beginning of the 6-minute race?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. All drivers starting to line up towards the back of the field. And so Dan Thackeray really probably not best pleased the fact that he had that stoppage in play, shall we say. But one driver who gets another crack will be Matt Luft. Started on pole after qualifying there. Obviously now starting in second place. And 6 minutes on the clock. Drivers lining up towards the back end of the field. Anthony, this one's going to be fast and frantic, but the 5-second board is held aloft. The red lights will be starting to come on. There we go, red lights on. And as they come out, how are we going to get on with the second half of this season opener? And it's a good start by Dan Thackeray, really flying off with Matt Luft being a little bit bogged down. And that's the third row of the grid as well. We're having a really good start. Third place, second row of the grid, having a great start up the inside of Matt Luft, who's now demoted back into third.
Yeah, Bensley then moving up into second place, getting a good breakaway off the line. And yeah, like you say, moving into P2. They whiz through the shot there at the top section of the circuit. They'll head down Park Straight now in towards the park section. This is where the red flag was earlier on in the day when the 66 went off the circuit. They'll come up the hill into shot. There they are, and it is still now. It looks like it's getting very close for second place, or for the race lead, as Bensley is caught right up to the back of Thackeray. Thackeray under pressure now as the field sweeps through the top section of the circuit. They'll come back through the gooseneck now, and it looked like a little bit wide there for Thackeray as he exits out of the top section of the track.
Yeah, no, it's Thackeray. I wouldn't say he's pulled away substantially, unlike obviously the start and the first half of this race. It's getting very confusing anyway. But with 5 minutes to go, he's getting a little bit of a gap now, hasn't he? He's manoeuvred his way through that infield very well. And all of a sudden, this is where it starts to get very twisty, very windy, very difficult to make any overtaking positions, but extremely easy to make a mistake. Drivers will have to be so careful as they come through, whizzing past our commentary booth. In fact, you might even be able to hear them through our microphones. They're that loud. And there is Dave Marshall leading the production class as it stands. And already, as I said, halfway within the cup category.
Yeah, exactly that. Bit of dust kicking up as they go through Hall Bends, and several karts going slightly slow there. Concertina effect kicking in as they come around the final corner, turn 18 of Barn. Back onto the start-finish straight, and there is a kart round. It is the 88 that's gone round. That is Neil Gardner in the privateer driver, is now at the back of the grid.
Yeah, but he's gotten himself going. 3-point turn. He didn't hit the barrier that hard, so he's still going. We won't be stopping just yet, and hopefully at all for the rest of the Civic races. Another lovely move up the inside there. It's hard to see who exactly it was, but as they go side by side, it is Max Edmondson on the inside of. Is that Redford? I believe it is. That is Redford. So two drivers I had a chat to early on. Well, I had a chat to all of them, let's face it. But really interesting to see their sort of dynamic now playing out on track.
Yeah, really is to see. Now, of course, this is only a 6-minute effectively sprint race. And again, another big lock up there from Redford, the 42, as he goes super defensive into Park Corner. They'll come back round again through the Chris curve of turn number 5. Back downhill they'll go. 3.5 minutes left on the timer, and 3 wide here as they go through Gooseneck. As they whiz through shot and the field slices through. And again, look at the train that they're forming now. Each driver trying their hardest to go down the inside, and that was your man who started on the front row of the grid at the original start of the race. And the number 1, Alistair Camp, diving down the inside of Mansfield Corner. Failing to get the job done, though. They go up the hill now through the mountain section, and third place there of the number 72 of Luff is really closing into the back of Bensley now. Yeah,
Alistair Camp obviously told us that he doesn't have the VTEC working in his car at the moment, so he's really down on power, and yet somehow he's moved up 1 position since the restart of this race. With 2 minutes, well, pretty much 3 minutes to go, let's face it, there's still all to play for, but the top 4 are pulling away. There's a battle for second place that seems to be brewing, but Thackeray seems to have got that race lead back under control. 0.8 of a second as they came back across the line, and as they come across the line this time round, it's over a second now, so Thackeray really really pushing on strong.
Yeah, really is indeed then. They'll go back across the line. The gap there visibly 1.1 seconds as they sweep through the shot there, as they'll go round turns number 2 and through Charlie's turn 3. down the park straight once again, and again line astern, and a big oversteer moment there for Thackeray in the race lead. He keeps it under control, but that's the lift off oversteer. Front wheel drive, you get it. If you just lift off that throttle a little bit too much, it happens. So that's the pain that can happen in these front wheel drive cars. So like you say, they'll just sweep through that section now, in through Park Corner and Chris Curve. They'll come back through Shot. Less than 2 minutes to go in this one. Spectators at the side of the track waiting for the cars to come into Shot, and they'll come in. Who is going to be holding on to that lead? Because it looked like there that Thackeray lost quite a bit of time.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, it's just a characteristic of front-wheel drive cars. It's one of the reasons why I can't physically drive a front-wheel car in anger on a track, shall we say. I can on the road. I mean, it's not that complicated when you're on a motorway, let's face it. But when you're out there on track or in the sim, it's very, very difficult indeed. And as they come into our Shot now, that is Max Lewis, who's got ahead of Matt Luff, who started on pole position when we originally started this race. Thackeray is still in the race lead, but Lewis has got himself into a podium position. How is the rest of the field slotting in and across our commentary booth? It looks like everybody seems to be line astern. No big movers just yet, but big news in terms of the podium.
Yes, indeed, yeah, chopping and changing all the way through this field. So they'll cross the line once again. They'll break the timing beam, and we'll update you on where they're going. Now, of course, the timer, 50 seconds remaining on the board. There's not much time left of this race. Thackeray's leading from Bensley. Max Lewis, of course, crossing the line, and that 271 gaining that place, demoting Luff down. Catton's there. Redford in 6th place still from out Williams. Edmondson is in 8th place from Lane, and De Claudio rounding out the top 10 in that 71.
Yeah, it looks like a car's pulling off to the left there, but that's a Range Rover in the spectator area. So don't fear about that, ladies and gentlemen. We have obviously getting towards the business end of this race, shall we say, and as we mentioned, quite a few little stories here, there and everywhere. One driver I'm very impressed with, considering he doesn't have that much oomph in the underneath his right foot, is Alistair Camp. He dropped down into 13th, and on this 6-minute restart really did fear the worst, and so did he actually when I chatted to him earlier. He's up to 11th. He's gained 2 positions with about half the horsepower underneath his right foot, so very, very impressive. I will say, if you're going to lose power anywhere, Cadwell is probably a place where you can afford to do it a little bit more than the likes of Donington Park, Silverstone, Snetterton and everything like that, because there are less long straights. And as the drivers come back into Shot, we can still see that Thackeray is in 1st place, Bensley in 2nd, but then it's still Lewis ahead of Luff. Very impressively done by him. And to tell you what, this might be the last lap already. I'm not sure. The checkered flag is being ready. I think this might be it. Last couple of corners, DJ.
Yes, indeed. It will be Thackeray to the checkered flag. Bensley has tried his hardest to close in as much as possible. That gap came down to 0.8 of a second, but across the line, Thackeray will take the checkered flag from Bensley. Max Lewis will cross the line, but only just from Luff. Catton is holding on to 5th place from Redford. Alp Williams, Edmondson will cross hopefully in 8th place. As he does break the timing beam, he will, from Lane and De Claudio, the top 10.
Yeah, brilliant top 10 finishers there, and we'll be able to have a chat to our podium sitters as well a little later on. So as soon as they come back into the assembly area.
But there we go. So they'll head back into the pit lane in just a moment's time. We're going to take a small break now. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back in a moment's time.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
And we're back in the assembly area, which you might be able to hear because there's supercarts just to my left-hand side. However, more importantly for us, in terms of Civic Cup action, there's Podium sitters here today. And, well, you can see already Dan Thackeray having his photo taken in front of the first place. Apologies if I cough. There's a lot of fumes behind us. Bensley as well in second place. Max Lewis over there. We had a chat to him earlier on because his car looks so good. Now he's on the podium. A fantastic opportunity at advertising even more of his sponsors. And Jeekins ended up taking the victory in that production category as well. Apologies about this, but I think what we might do is have a chat to our drivers first before the podium. Yeah, we'll do that. So Thackeray's currently having his photo taken even more. But Dan, we'll go round because I think I'm allowed in here. Why not? If you have a microphone, you're allowed in anywhere, aren't you? Dan, congratulations. I mean, after that red flag happened, we thought, oh, the worst may be happening. Matt Luff might get a good start. His qualifying pace might come out. But to be honest, you pushed on and on and on, and all of a sudden it was over a second by the end.
I was thinking exactly the same. I couldn't believe it when the race got red flagged and after I had such a nice lead. And it was just a case of just hope I can be in P1 by turn 1. So Ryan, I think, passed Matt right at the start. He was very quick at certain parts of the track. He was kind of just trying to manage the gap and hope that the checker flag was coming out quick.
I was going to say, you've been handed very swiftly a good year hat. You've got to get the sponsors in there. Speaking of which, we didn't ask you this before. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to now you're on the top step of the podium?
Well, thanks very much to Motion Motorsport for preparing the car. It's been amazing all weekend. We've got Icon Residents as well sponsoring this weekend. And thanks to all my family who are always here helping us run the car.
I was going to say, I'm guessing your family are the array of people that are here to welcome and say well done. Congratulations, Dan. We'll obviously try and film you on the top step, but do give it a bit of a cheer. Don't sway the champagne yet. That suit needs to last 2 more races. Right, is it Ryan Bensley, I believe it is. Mr. Bensley, he's having a chat with some of his supporters. Mr. Bensley, can you come over and have a chat to us? Second place, a hell of a start off the start.
Yeah, I mean, last year we had such a torrid year last year. My dad worked faultlessly. If we'd have got results for hard work last year, we'd have won the championship. So, you know, all his work and stuff didn't really reflect the results we got. And I knew that as soon as we had a good car and we, you know, sorted out reliability issues, we'd be good. Last year my starts were always good, so I knew that was a strong point. I won't tell any of my competitors what my technique is because I've got to catch them on the other bit. But I mean, fair play to Dan. I was catching him in one part of the track, but he was pulling away in another, and we know what the issue is. We're really on, like I said before, we're on the back foot with the setup. So I think they've got a real problem on their hand once we get up to speed with the car. We've only done like 2 test sessions in it all year, so.
I was going to say, that's a bit daunting for the rest of the drivers then, because a second place is a hell of a way to start, especially if you're not 100% happy with the car sort of being at its absolute sort of top speed. So race 2 and 3, you talked about reverse grid already, obviously. What are the plans? Is it a case of chilling out because Cadwell's quite hard to pass, take advantage of any little mistakes, or is it a case of get your nose stuck in, see what points you can get?
I think we have to play to our strengths, which, as you've already seen today, is, you know, on the starts is where we make up the most places. I just try and keep chilled. We just still are trying to understand the car. You know, with S race car engineering, we're still working away with the car and trying to understand what that wants. So if I'm just in the top 10, I'm happy to do that as long as we keep moving forwards and pick the knowledge up. You know, I want to win so bad, but this is like a win for us because it's such a hard year we had last year. You know, so. Just thank all the guys at Zest Race Car Engineering, PAB Mortgages, and everyone that's supported me, but also all the ones that haven't supported me. Then, you know, that's what we're capable of.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to wrap up very quickly because I believe the supercars are ready to go out. So you'll be hearing more from us in a couple of minutes' time. You can hear them. Go and tune into the supercars.